Hello, I'm William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and in this video I'd like to make an important announcement for new opportunities for students and homeschool families, or even private school students that will be available after the new year in 2023. For the past 25 years, I've been studying and teaching the classical liberal arts. For the past 14 years, this has been done in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, where I've worked to restore the classical Catholic curriculum and make it available to students all over the world from the comfort and convenience of their own home. And we've seen that the importance and superiority of homeschooling has increased rapidly in recent years, and yet many of the practices, many of the resources, many of the programs that are available simply continue to do things the modern school way, and they don't take advantage of the resources and opportunities that we actually have. In the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, we have a number of really significant advantages. One of those advantages is that unlike modern schools, the Classical Liberal Arts Academy has a stable and complete, or I should say coherent and comprehensive curriculum. We have a real curriculum, a real course of studies that begins with the simplest subjects of the elementary years and works all the way up through the most sublime and complex subjects that can be studied for the rest of one's life. We're the only school that offers any such curriculum. And restoring and researching that curriculum was our first priority. And we've restored the curriculum. The courses are all laid out for the study, and now we work week by week, day by day, to fill out the content for all of that curriculum, studying master texts directly, which again, no modern schools can even pretend to offer. So that was the first great achievement of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, but it's only the beginning. The second achievement, this past year, I've worked to begin working individually with students to help them understand how to plan and manage their studies and how to track their progress so that they can stay focused on tasks and move more quickly through the lesson content. And the students that have begun with me in the premium student plan since, I would say, July, have made really incredible progress. There are students who've been in the academy for 4 months who've made more progress than some students have made working by themselves online in 4 years. And we've really established a method and a program that allows and helps students to make rapid progress through these studies, the most efficient possible progress. That was a second great achievement, which is still developing, but I'm very confident in where that's headed. And what's interesting about that work, the work of this planning and planner management with students, is that it's really, speaking in the long term, it's a work that I don't need to do. Someone doesn't need a classicist, an academy headmaster to actually do that work. It's simple work, really. Requires access to the back end of academy assessment and records and things like that. But the work is not that complicated, and I can foresee in the future, if the academy grows in number, I could foresee students who are currently being tutored, if they're interested, taking up that work of becoming tutors themselves in the future and working individually with students to help them manage and, or I should say plan and manage their studies. So that's been exciting, and I feel that's successful. My wife has actually started doing that same work, and seeing her do it, is very encouraging, because She doesn't have my level of expertise in classical studies, and yet she is fully competent to do the work of that one-on-one tutoring and planning management, which is very encouraging. It's simple work. She's a classicist herself, so she's got a working knowledge of these things. But it shows that in order to do that work effectively, one doesn't need the level of knowledge that the headmaster or director of the program has. So that's been very encouraging. It's manageable, not just for me, but for others as well. But again, that's just the beginning. In 2023, we're going to take a radical step forward. And that radical step forward is going to be that we're offering class meetings, which we've never, we've tested in the past, but we've never really committed to because we just didn't have, or I didn't have, a clear plan worked out for how those class meetings would work, because there's a number of very complex issues that I'd like to talk about for a few minutes. But in 2023, I'm going to begin offering classes, online class meetings, and these meetings are going to be open to students of different ages and different levels of progress in these courses. And it's going to be intended for students who are working in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy already, and it's going to offer them benefits that no modern schools can offer for a number of reasons. So I'd like to talk about these class meetings, and I'd like to invite everyone, as many as possible, to participate in them, because I think they're going to be very helpful, and I think they're really going to raise the bar for classical Catholic education starting this coming winter in January. Now, you can imagine the Classical Liberal Arts Academy has students all over the world. So we're dealing with kids in completely different time zones. We've got kids in Australia. We've got kids in the United Kingdom. We've got kids in the 4 different time zones of the United States. We've got kids in South America, in Canada, on and on. How could there possibly be class meetings for kids all around the world? These are logistical challenges, and these are the kinds of challenges that I've said that I've been working on through the years to try to figure out how I can best serve the students considering these situations. Modern schools are entirely limited to local students. This is sort of the trouble with modern schools. Modern schools, I mean, think about it. If we know that there's one person who's the best math teacher, well, that person's only going to affect one local school. That's how it works. Other local schools can have crummy math teachers, and there's thousands and thousands of teaching positions available just because there have to be, not because there are actually thousands and thousands of quality teachers. And so local schooling really doesn't work very well. There's not enough teachers to fill all the spots, and most students are going through courses with incompetent teachers. And the complaints about the teachers are real, but everyone is told to be quiet and made to feel bad if they suggest that the teacher doesn't seem to know the material. So many students are stuck with incompetent teachers who aren't masters of the material themselves, and the quality of education is very low. Plus, since the kids have to follow a common schedule and they can only serve kids at one grade level, there's just a million different complications and restrictions as to what local schools can do. And for most homeschoolers, all they've done is take the local school model and bring it home, which brings all of the limitations and restrictions into homeschooling and makes no sense. And this is what I would say all homeschool programs have done, and what I think is a waste of time. The benefits of homeschooling can't be sacrificed. They have to be retained. That's what gives our children the advantages and benefits that they need. The benefits of homeschooling, which are numerous. For example, being at home allows a parent or two parents to focus on just their children. And I'm not saying that the family should live on an isolated island and intentionally or spitefully not help other people, but they can take care of their children first. And if everybody would do that, the problems would go away. So the first benefit of homeschooling is that parents can attend to the education of their own children. They can give their children more attention. A second benefit is that studying at home saves a lot of time. Just time going back and forth to school, back and forth between classes, all of the different transportation that's needed, changing of places and things, all of that's eliminated in homeschooling. It's much, much more efficient with respect to time and many expenses as well. So parents can give more attention. There's more time available for study and better activities. We don't have all this running around. Thirdly, kids don't need to study in groups and work at the pace of a group. That's necessary in modern schools, and anytime modern homeschool programs arrange online classes, they just put the modern grade level school program online, which makes no sense, and students have to sign up in September, attend the classes, and work through at the pace of the class. And if they don't, either because they're smarter and could work faster, or because they're not as smart and need more time, they end up suffering for it because the classes are tethered to a schedule. And so one of the benefits of homeschooling is that there's no need for that artificial scheduling. Students can work through lessons and courses for mastery at their own pace. That's one of the great benefits of homeschooling, and most homeschool programs and all modern schools can't offer that benefit. They actually take that benefit away, and they don't allow students to work at their own pace independently, especially if they organize some kind of class or online meeting. They subject it to a class schedule and lose the benefits of homeschooling, which is that students can study for mastery at their own pace, which is great. So that's another benefit that's sacrificed. So there's many different benefits of homeschooling that are sacrificed when homeschoolers just go with the flow of modern schools. They have to do that because they don't have a curriculum. And even the curriculum programs they use, they're not coherent and comprehensive. They don't offer a full range of studies broken down into individual lessons where students can work on their own through the lessons. They don't offer that. What we've worked to develop and make available is just far, far more comprehensive. And it actually allows for students to work individually, independently, at their own pace, with all their records kept individually, all the material laid out in front of them, and allows every student, no matter what his ability level may be, every student can work for mastery and enjoy mastery in these important studies. No other homeschool program offers that as we do. So all of the individual benefits of homeschooling are already available in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. That's all available in the study center. Kids can work online at their own pace, study for mastery through thousands of lessons, and they can do that all on their own in the academy. And like I said before, that has been a great achievement. But there's more to education. There's more needed. These kids need more than just to sit and study independently. They need more. They need to have an opportunity to discuss their studies. They need to have an opportunity to have an experienced teacher walk them through the principles of their studies, answer their questions, discuss important topics with them, discuss current events with them, apply the lessons to their lives and things like that, really work the principles into their minds and hearts and into their actual daily activities. That's one of the real benefits of having a teacher, is just the ability to have a conversation with a focused, mature, intelligent person who has mastery of the studies and can provide that kind of conversation for students. It's also good to meet fellow students and to have the opportunity to work with peers and discuss studies and help one another, because we can never know if we understand something until we teach it. And the proper place for students to exercise this mastery is by helping their classmates. And so it's good for students to have a group environment to study in. It's actually necessary for them to gain mastery. So while there's all of these individual benefits in the academy, there's a lot lacking. There's a lot lacking. The community aspect, the social aspect, the conversational aspect of these studies, which is very, very important. The living, conversational question and answer, discussion, debate, all of that aspect of classical Catholic studies has been unavailable. And that's what we're going to change in 2023. So after the new year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin offering weekly class meetings on different subjects. And you can think about that and say, how in the world would that work? How would it be possible? You've got kids over the country, all different ages and ability levels. How would you organize class meetings? And I'd like you to just think about all that I just explained. The problem with class meetings in modern schools is that the teacher has to take up a topic today for today's class meeting. And the students have to then learn that material, because at the next class meeting, they're going to move on to new material. And if they didn't learn it, well, now they're behind. So we run into these problems where everyone's got to work at the same pace in order to have a class. It's a one-size-fits-all class that's actually providing the students with the material they need to learn for their assessments, and anyone who can't keep the schedule or anyone who's not on the same level can't participate. And so it isolates, it minimizes who can participate in the class, and it ends up serving a small number of students in the actual class and leaves others to repeat the class next year if they can't keep up, or to simply get a bad grade, which makes no sense at all. That's everything that's wrong with modern school class meetings. They're nothing like what the kids actually need them to be. Now, in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, because we've already established the curriculum and made it available to the students on their own, we don't have to present that material to them in class meetings. We don't have to tell them the content of the lessons in class meetings. They already have access to the content of the lessons. We also don't need them to all work on one lesson at the same time, at the same pace in our class meetings, because they already have free, individual, self-paced access to all of the lesson content, assignments, assessments, and so on. They already have all of that. So our class meetings don't need to provide that for them. And this is what's going to make our class meetings different and more valuable. So if I have a class meeting, let's say that I'm going to have a meeting on Aesop's Fables, which I am in January. So we're going to have a class that meets to discuss Aesop's Fables. I will have students enrolling in this class at all different levels. I'll have students just getting started. I'll have students who are have already studied the first 100 fables. I'll have other students at lesson 20, 35, 18, and so on. They'll be all over the course in their own individual studies. And that's fine. There's no problem with that. Because what we're going to do when we have our class meetings is we're going to discuss the fables, and we're going to talk about them in a much broader, much deeper way than the students have studied them if they have already studied them. We're going to talk about the morals. We're going to discuss the morals, talk about the implications of the morals, how they relate to Bible stories, how they relate to Catholic teaching, how they relate to current events, how they relate to our own daily lives, and so on. And it's going to be much more conversational, working to help the students really understand the lessons and put them into practice, benefit from them in their actual lives. And so it doesn't matter what lesson an individual student is on. In that meeting, we're going to talk about one particular fable, usually. If the student hasn't studied that fable yet, it doesn't matter, because the student can just enjoy the class, participate in the class, and then go and complete that lesson on his own. If a student has already completed the lesson, it doesn't matter, because that student will benefit from the discussion and the application and things like that, which he hasn't learned when he studied that fable on his own. So the class meetings offer the students very important social benefits, very important conversational exercise in their subjects, and they're going to take their studies, which they work on independently, and flesh them out in much greater detail, make them much more useful. They're also going to get to discuss things with their fellow students. As we get into older student studies, we'll be able to have disputations and things like that. We'll be able to work on student composition exercises together. So as we get into the different subjects and arrange different classes, there's just going to be more and more available for the kids. But it's going to greatly enrich their classical Catholic studies and help them to become comfortable discussing these things, comfortable disagreeing and learning how to argue about things, learning how to talk about controversial subjects in a responsible way, improving their grammar, their reasoning, their rhetorical skills, improving their comfort working with others, just so many social benefits that are a necessary part of their education that they need to learn through group activities. So that's why their individual progress or their individual level or even their age is not going to be so important for these class meetings, because they're going to be broader and more generalized than the individual lessons. Because, as I said, the kids already have access to all their lesson content. Now, I'll come to these lessons with an agenda of my own, a lesson that I'd like to talk about, topics that I'd like to talk about, and we'll spend an hour going through the lesson. But there will always be time for question and answer. There will be time for conversation and things like that. So I will make sure that there is, a social aspect to these class meetings. They're not just going to be lectures. Part may be lecture, but they're going to be part lecture, part discussion, and I think the kids will enjoy them. And if a student is not comfortable with that, they're welcome to just come and sit quietly and observe, and maybe as they get older, they get more comfortable. So none of that's a concern. So don't worry about any students who feel uncomfortable. If you'd like to participate, but you don't have a situation where you can put on a video camera in the house because things are crazy, it's okay. You can just be present and leave the camera off. So it's going to be open to students, not of all ages. We're not going to have 5-year-olds in, classical ethics class, though they could attend if they were just quiet, and, I can control that on my side. But the classes are going to be open to all students, and I think they're going to greatly enrich their classical Catholic studies and significantly affect their understanding and their progress and their appreciation for these studies in a way that I don't think they would studying alone as homeschool students. So that's what's going to be available starting in January. Now, as for the cost of these things, because we can talk about all kinds of great ideas and then come up with some cost that's just ridiculous. The cost of these class meetings is going to be minimal, and I don't need to charge a lot for these class meetings because the costs can be divided over a number of students. So, first of all, any students who are subscribed as premium student plan subscribers, they can attend these class meetings at no additional cost. So all of these class meetings, as many as I offer, they will be open to any student. They'll be included in the premium student plan. So if you want my advice as to what you should do as a homeschool parent in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, it's enroll in the premium student plan. That's going to be the best option, because as I continue to do more and add more services and benefits, they're just all going to be included in the premium student plan or the premium family plan. Though I don't know how much longer we're going to allow new families into the family plan. But these class meetings will be included in the cost of a premium student plan, and all premium students will be welcome to attend them with no additional cost whatsoever. For those who are not subscribed to the premium student plan, there's probably going to be a registration fee, and it's probably going to be a monthly subscription. If we meet once a week for an hour, there'd be 4 meetings a month on average, and I'll probably charge something like $20 a month, which would be $5 per class. That's just an arbitrary number. I'll work with that as we go on. I don't believe it will need to be higher than that. It may be, in fact, lower than that. But that's where things are going to start for anyone who's not subscribed to the premium student plan. So if there's just one class you're interested in or a couple classes you're interested in, you could enroll in those class meetings and attend those class meetings alone. But I think you're going to end up financially just running into the numbers that would have allowed you to have the premium student plan. So, I really strongly recommend that premium subscription, and I encourage families who want their kids to have a classical Catholic education to just find a way to budget for that number, for the monthly subscription, and we'll provide more and more as we go on, as we continue to develop the program. And I'm available year-round for these kids, so it's just a matter of having the kids learn to communicate and us working together. What often happens is parents will sign up and then the kids won't communicate, and there's just nothing I can do in those situations. So it's a matter of subscribing to the premium student plan and having the kids learn to communicate comfortably with me and with my wife in the office here, and developing a working relationship that's stable over time. And like I said, these class meetings will be included in the cost of the premium student plan, which I strongly recommend to Catholic parents. We'll be starting the meetings after the New Year, right after the New Year, January 9th. I'm planning on having the first meeting. It's going to be on Mondays at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So Mondays, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. The first class that I'm going to offer is going to be a class on Aesop's Fables, because I have a lot of students in Aesop's Fables. I get hundreds of assignments submitted on Aesop's Fables every week. Students are always asking about Aesop's Fables, and so I think that that's a great starting place. Parents always ask me to make videos about Aesop's Fables, so I'm going to make Aesop's Fables our first class meeting, and then I'm going to continually add more class meetings as I choose subjects to focus on, and as I said, they'll be open to all students. And there's no limit to the number of students, even though if over time, it's going to start slowly, as it always does. Everyone expects this big rush, but that's just not how classical studies work. It's going to start slowly and develop little by little, just like my tutoring schedule did, and fill up over time. But there's no student limits, so we don't have to put any pressure on there being a certain number of students, or like hurry now, enroll now, or lose your spot. It's not going to be like that. So it makes enrollment much freer and allows more students to participate, which one-on-one tutoring doesn't allow. So if you're interested, you can get ready for the classes if you're subscribed to the premium student plan, because you can attend them at no additional cost. If you're not in the premium student plan, I strongly encourage you to consider enrolling in that program. And if you don't want to, or you can't afford that, and you think it will be better for your family just to purchase, access to an individual course, there will be links that allow you to do that on the website, or you can just write to me and I'll tell you how you can do that. If you'd like your children to participate, but you simply can't afford it, you need financial assistance, you need some kind of special arrangement, just let me know. Just write to me privately. My private email is wcm@classicalliberalarts.com. I'm not going to say no. It's just a matter of making sure that we can work things out so that other students aren't negatively affected. That's the only concern. So if you need help financially, just let me know. If we can talk about that privately. But that's where I'm going to be moving forward in 2023, and I think these class meetings are going to be really excellent. I think they're going to radically improve the quality of studies in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. I think it's going to change the student disposition with regard to their studies. I think the students are going to really appreciate their classical Catholic studies, and I think parents are going to see the kids grow quickly intellectually through these class meetings. So I invite all Academy students to get involved. You'll be able to attend the classes anytime. You can start anytime. You don't have to get in on a certain date or be there when we have the initial sign-up. You can come in at any time. If there's a week you can't make the class, it's no big deal. I'll probably record the videos and from the classes and make them available. We'll work out all these details. I'm not going to, make it miserable. It has to be flexible. I mean, I need to cancel video meetings at times because I need flexibility. So I understand that need for flexibility, and that's one of the benefits of homeschooling that we have to keep. We can't ruin that. We have to keep that because it's necessary for us to get work done over a long period of time. We can't have unsustainable schedules and things like that. So it won't be high stress, there won't be attendance taken or anything like that. There'll be very helpful lessons for the kids. They'll help them in their studies. They'll help them to progress through their lessons and make better progress. So there's many benefits to these classes, but at the same time, it's not some crazy commitment where you've got to do it every single week or you get penalized in some way. So relax. I know what parenting is like, and I'm not going to do anything that's unsustainable. So that's the news as we head into the Christmas break. In January, we're going to get started with class meetings, and I'll be posting more information on them on this page. If you're on the Academy website where this video is posted, I'll be adding more information on this class meetings page. So keep an eye out for this page. And if you have any questions, just get in touch with me and I'll keep you updated. All right? So class meetings starting up. Video class meetings, live class meetings in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy with me working directly with the kids starting in January. I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I also think it's going to be very productive in the kids' studies, and I think it's going to add a social dynamic to your homeschool that you're going to find very helpful. So please do register for the classes. Ask any questions you have and plan on getting started with me in January and then attending more classes as we develop this class schedule moving forward. So I'm looking forward to these classes very much, and I hope as many students as possible can join me in them. God bless.